that's what you came up here and said.
I believe he doesn't. Yeah, I don't claim to know.
Yeah, so you do believe, so which means that you're creating. Yeah, right. So this
come on, man, he's being for real. Just answer the question: how you justify your atheism, dog?
Yeah, explain what you mean by that. Then I know exactly how to do that. If you refuse to do that, then how that? Yeah, I don't think I can do that to your satisfaction.
Nigga, just justify your atheism.
Yeah, explain what you mean by justify my atheism.
We're waiting.
Dog is clear as hell, yo.
Okay, here's the thing, right? You're using this Darth Dawkins script. He's interviewed actual professional philosophers.
I'm not here for the meta.
Now the one in your picture, there's no meta.
But just answer the question.
And even they said we don't know what you're speaking. And even they said we don't know what your question even means. So when me, who's not a philosopher, say I don't know what your question even means.
You pillow talking.
You should explain what your question.
You're pillow talking. Justify your atheism.
What I said makes perfect sense. If professionals don't know what that question means,
it makes sense to the pillow.
If professionals don't know what that question means,
justification.
How can you expect a non-professional to understand what that question means? So can you unpack it?
Yes.
And you look goofy.
I walked away for 1 minute and I'm still not hearing an answer to how he's going to justify his atheism. So is that just like a dodge?
Okay, so I'm going to assume you guys don't even know what the question means.
Yeah, I'm sorry. Were you not tracking what the question was? It's how do you justify your atheism?
Define, justify in this context without using the word.
Say that again.
Sad, man, this is sad.
It's a primitive.
Okay, so it seems someone here gave an actual answer. Give reasons why you know God doesn't exist. Okay, so I already responded to that. I don't claim to know God doesn't exist. I don't believe it does.
I'm just worried about what in particular raises your credence above 0.5 towards the proposition that God does not exist.
Well, thank you. So it's a bunch of things.
You like what?
And give an argument.
No one thing. I can give one argument, I guess, which is the one.
Damn, then give it. Shit, I've been waiting. The fuck is that?
If we make two hypotheses where there's a universe with a god and where there's a universe without a god, what would we expect to see in the universe with a god versus without? We tend to find that in this universe, we are finding things or see things.
That's what that is.
We are seeing things we would expect if there were not a god versus if there were a god.
If you already think that God doesn't exist is more like plausible than God not existing, I would already expect you to think that the majority of the things that exist is more expected under atheism. I'm asking what in particular is the thing that's expected under atheism.
Yeah, I disagree with that sentence.
What
because
sense?
even theists agree with this point.
That more things are expected that exist in the world under atheism than in theism? Why would they grant that?
Yes.
Why would a theist grant
that? Then
they're irrational.
So the belief of atheism from preset is not needed.
Even theists disagree because there's two here disagreeing, dog. What?
Yeah, okay. But all you need is a theist to agree with my point to refute your point. We need one.
So fuck that. I don't see none. I don't see none. I don't think they're here.
You don't see none. No. Okay, look up a Graham Oppie atheist debate. He's usually debating theists. They usually agree with the point he's making and agree that it is more parsimonious, but they make excuses for it.
That's not what I didn't say it wasn't more parsimonious.
Well, more parsimonious makes more sense.
No, that just
it's more in line with.
Yeah, that wasn't my criticism I gave you.
Okay, well, can you explain to me how this universe lines up with God existing versus not?
Just listen. I asked you what things in particular would lead you to believe that, atheism is more plausible than theism. You said the majority of the things that is expected under atheism, or sorry, you said, our observations align more with what's expected under atheism than what's expected under theism. I already take that to be true if you're an atheist. That's like obviously what you would probably think, unless you're just irrational. I'm asking which things in particular within the world do you think is not expected under theism and better aligns with like an atheistic worldview?
Okay, well, I'll give another one.
Another one?
Another one, which is one. Yeah, I mean, the other one.
That's cool. It's cool. You can give up. That's cool.
Yeah, so I'll give another one, but it's not unrelated to the first one. So all my arguments will be related to the first one. So one piece of argument is all these revelations.
This is just obviously a dodge from the fact that God is the necessary precondition.
Oh, so you don't even need my answer?
No, I think this is just what they do. I mean.
Okay, well, I'd like to hear your response to the argument I'm going to make. Without
all right.
Okay, so one piece of argument is, another piece of argument which is tied to this is what we see in religions, or what religions. They seem to be, or the way that they form is how we would expect them to form if humans naturally make up religions.
What?
A claim.
What? Yeah, for example,
claim, that ain't no argument.
Yeah, so the development and complexity of deities develops over time. If a God really existed, what we would expect is the message of him to be consistent throughout time. And the first religion to be the true one.
Assuming a message.
But
That's
we
assuming a
find-
message. Wait, that's assuming a
That
message.
is yes, we're not
Yeah.
assuming.
It's
if
an
God
assumption.
existed, he would do what's
Wait.
reasonable. Yeah, yes.
It's an assumption. I defeated
Yes.
your argument. Could be dismissed.
Oh, okay. If we are going to theorize about God, we need to make assumptions about him and be able to test him in some sort of way.
Who
And
said
make sense
that?
of
Who said who?
it. Says me, the guy.
Don't give a fuck what you say. What you mean? Said who?
Well, you
Said
should if it
you?
makes sense. If it doesn't make sense, tell me how it doesn't.
No sense.
Okay, how does it not make any sense?
By it not making sense. When I listen, it don't make sense.
Okay, well, can you... okay, so you're saying that's the...
And here's even more
It's an
evidence that it
assumption
doesn't make sense because it didn't make sense to me either. And if it doesn't make sense, it's more expected that it doesn't make sense to two people.
Shit, that's
than just
that
one person.
beige. That's that beige calculus.
For real.
Okay, why should I believe in a God then? Your turn.
No, that's just going to be a dodge.
It's foundational.
If intelligibility, then God. Intelligibility, therefore God.
Look, if that makes sense to you guys, okay. But to me, I don't...
Yeah. So what I'm actually ready for is a critique.
Okay, give me
Or concession?
give me an argument that's not begging the question of why I should...
Yeah. So if intelligibility, then God.
I don't have them.
This, therefore God.
I don't have them.
Incredible.
I'm aware.
Well, here's an argument against God.
No, thank you.
How is it that a God could exist, would write a
Look, I would listen, but I heard the first sound, and that sounds stupid. I don't want to hear no more.
You guys are trolling us. There's no way.
No, this
You want
straight
to let
up.
us speak?
It's straight up.
Straight up.
We keep it from the streets. We keep it real shit.
Yeah, no, we own this for real. Don't play with us.
I actually spoke to God last night. He told me he doesn't exist.
Yeah, but I'm a Bayesian
How'd you respond to
cosmologist.
How would you respond to that?
He was doing a performative contradiction. Yeah, he had to exist.
well, that's the thing is, if you heard somebody telling you he doesn't exist, that's a voice in your head that is generated by your anatomy. And that's schizophrenia.
What's this lame shit you talking about?
Who, me?
Mask.
Well, if God doesn't exist, he cannot tell him that he does not exist.
He do, but he do. The fuck he do.
Well, where is your proof that God exists?
I'm standing right here. The fuck?
Yeah, but you evolved.
Well,
The
that
fuck?
is not proof, because
That's because God allowed me, dumbass.
Oh, God.
What's the probability of faulty existing under atheism? 0.
Well, you're gonna...
That's a fact.
that is not a fact.
Because you obviously can't apply
Your
it.
lame ass up. It ain't no fact. Deny reality, nigga. No one cares.
Obviously, because you cannot apply a principle of indifference over an infinite set.
That's right. That's that math.
That logically follows.
Shit. That logical shit. Yeah. You gotta deny logic to be.
For real.
That's sad.
That's just a necessary consequence of the atheistic worldview, though.
Well,
We
you know
already
what?
knew
I
that
think-
was going to happen.
I think if a God existed, we wouldn't need to have this debate.
Excuse
Yeah,
me?
we ain't having no debate. We just explain how your dumbass couldn't offer an argument to.
I think if God exists, it's expected that we dog walking you right now. And we are dog walking you right now. Therefore, God exists.
Okay, if a God existed and he wanted me to know he existed...
So what I actually just did is
Would I
a
believe it
consequent, and you didn't even point that out. I'll take that to be blunder number 4.
Right, so if a God existed and he wanted me to know he existed, would I know he existed?
Excuse me?
You suppress the truth.
That's it. Yeah, you're trolling.
You know, if God is
Nah,
to be
suppressing the truth, troller. Be
then
honest.
why does he not let his presence be known?
Oh, it's known, all right.
It's known to me.
Well, God doesn't exactly have direct
It's
contact.
known to you too. You look up, you see stars. More than enough.
Well, those are solar systems
Yeah.
outside of our solar system.
You think they came from nothing?
Well, they came from a black hole that got so dense that it exploded and expanded, and that is how the universe was created.
Who black hole? God's asshole? The fuck?
Exploded. How did it
It's very
explode?
possible.
Every big bang.
Say it came from someone's black hole.
Listen,
From
Jeffrey.
a black hole. black
Jeffrey, do
hole.
you believe in the Big Bang?
Yes, I do. And what's interesting is the fact that
do you believe the obvious principle that every Big Bang needs a Big Banger? Yeah, so that's actually not an answer. That's a laugh.
This nigga here is sweet.
So,
you
you know-
sound like he been banged by men.
You know what's funny is that the origin of the universe, the Big Bang theory, originated with Hubble.
Big
and
God.
when-
Let's call it the Big God theory.
Yeah, for real, because God's infinite. That's huge.
And when I can't remember his name, the genius.
Do you think two particles collided and made a universe?
I don't see why not.
Get him off the panel. Fuck out of here. Get him off the panel.
Here's
That is
not
the
the Big
problem.
Bang.
When I hear Christians argue against the Big
Get
Bang,
him off the panel, dog. You're gone. Kick rock.
Imagine thinking two particles collided, and then right now we're having this conversation. That's so silly.
Wait, let me ask you this, the atheist.
No, thank you.
So
Wait, who's the atheists? Jake, who's the atheist?
Or I don't know. There's somebody that's disagreeing with Christianity, or
The
whoever.
Jeffo ass saying particles collide and make a universe.
That is correct. Because what's funny is the Big Bang theory was originated.
What's funny is that theory. That theory
You
funny
know,
as shit. Two particles collide. I'm laughing my ass off. Oh my god.
When
But Jeff,
Albert
was that
Einstein
explosion?
went to Hubble's observatory, he said that yes, the math is correct, and it shows that there's an origin of the universe, and therefore it signifies that God truly does exist. This is what Albert Einstein said about the Big Bang theory. But now,
We agree there. We agree there.
60 years later, it is quite the opposite, and Christians make fun of the Big Bang theory and sit there and say how ridiculous it is. When what's funny is the originators of the theory sat there and said that this is considered to be definitive proof that there is a God, because if there's a beginning, there has to be a God
Why,
involved.
dog?
Oh, so you're aware that it's proof for God.
Yeah, dude.
It's considered
No,
to be
you know,
proof
you
of
know.
God.
But he's saying the
however-
particles. He's saying the particles collided made by God.
You guys don't actually think the Big Bang is proof of God, do you? Is this like a joke? Or?
No, it is.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, no, it is.
No, it is the proof for God.
But-
That's what I'm saying.
Christians have let that go, and
Obviously,
they
I know, like,
make fun of the
you're
Big
big
Bang.
Sorry, I knew, like, you, I meant, like, Jeffrey specifically sounded like he was being serious. I could tell everyone else was joking. I was, like, more so asking him.
No, we're for
Well,
real.
also, Jeff, by the
Straight,
way,
what you talking about? I'm joking.
yeah, and Jeff, by the way, the physicist priest who popularized the Big Bang, he actually argued against it being used for God. He was
Well,
not for
those
that. even
physicists
though
don't know what they're
Einstein
talking
checked it out.
about. Those physicists don't know what they're talking about.
Wait, what? Most physicists?
No, I said those
Most
physicists, not most
physicists
physicists.
No, the
Yeah,
actual
haven't you
founder of the
heard that,
Big
like,
Bang.
you know that Joe
Uh,
Biden paid physicists to tell the public what he wants them to, right?
Yeah, tell them the truth.
Yeah, no,
No, tell them lies. Like,
Saying
climate change, for
Joe's
example.
cracker ass was feeding him false shit like sheep.
There's no,
Fuck
do you think
nigga.
there's, wait, hold on, do you think there's evidence for climate change?
Where are you going with this?
The climate changes all the time. If I clap my hands, it's
They
changed.
keep
There's no
getting to your
problem with it. It's just lies from liberals. Look, listen. And I told Kacen about this before. But the liberals, there's a whole. This has been exposed by documentaries by a lot of channels like Alex Jones and Dinesh D'Souza. But liberals corrupt science to spew falsehoods.
Oh my God.
It's their agenda.
And this is all to take us away from the Bible, I think. This is my view. This is my personal opinion. I don't know what ultimately it is, but it seems like a, you know.
Aren't liberals Christians? Wasn't Joe Biden a Catholic?
No,
you're saying too much.
he's pretend he's him and his wife are Schmedophiles, and they drink.
Yeah, that's some bullshit you pulled out of your bull ass. Talking about he cat. In what world he Catholic?
Please don't be rude.
Being rude, I'm being real. Fuck
Please
up.
don't be disrespectful. This is all. They can't engage on the facts. They have to make stuff up.
Okay, so Joe Biden is the Schmedophile, but Trump, who
I
was
wish
best
this could
friends
keep
with
going.